And to discuss today's political manoeuvring, I was joined just a short time ago from our Parliament House studio by the Leader of the House, Anthony Albanese. Anthony Albanese, thanks for joining us.
Good to be with you, Tony.
Is Peter Slipper essentially a defector from the coalition?
Well, he himself announced today that he had left the Liberal National Party in order to be an independent speaker. Of course, there's been a debate for some time, and Tony Abbott himself has said that he supports an independent speaker. I think Peter
What
Slipper
Tony Abbott
will do a
actually
good job.
said tonight, if I can interrupt you, is that Peter Slipper is now Julia Gillard's man, not Tony Abbott's man, Julia Gillard's man. I'm asking, do you agree with that?
Well, he's been elected on at least, I think, 8 separate occasions as either a National Party candidate, a Liberal Party candidate or an LNP candidate.
Yeah, do you agree he's Julia Gillard's man now?
He's his own man, he's the Speaker and he's independent, and that's as it should be.
You obviously welcomed him in from the cold, whether you regard him as a defector or not. So my question is, have you spoken to him, have you canvassed this issue at all of defection before today?
Well, I obviously spoke to him more than a year ago about taking the office of the Deputy Speakership. He was elected to that office after the last federal election. It was pretty obvious that he'd be interested in being the Speaker. Anyone who reads the paper in recent days, and maybe Tony Abbott missed it, but his own LNP have been going after him in terms of a pre-selection in Queensland in his own seat of Fisher.
So presumably, knowing this, as you obviously do, and being a very wise person, you've spoken to him about this in the past.
No, I spoke to him more than a year ago.
And not since then. Now, this is my
Speaker.
point. That is a history we understand very well. Are you saying that you have not canvassed this issue with him of becoming Speaker since that time?
I have not canvassed the issues that occurred today since that. Well, I didn't know that it was going to occur.
But did someone from the Labor Party, yourself or another colleague or even a third party, ascertain that he was ripe for the plucking, as it were?
No, I spoke to him today.
I'm asking whether anyone else, a third party or one of your colleagues, ascertained whether he was ready for this move.
No, I spoke to him. I was the person who spoke to him, and I spoke to him this morning.
So, well, how long exactly have you known that he was ready to make the move?
Well, anyone who reads the papers, Tony, would know that there was an issue.
But I mean, you've made that point, Anthony Albanese. With respect, you've made that point. But what I'm
you've
asking
asked the same question and you've got the same answer.
Yeah, but
you shouldn't be surprised by that, Tony.
As a professional political operative, I would imagine that you would have canvassed it with him earlier than that, once you knew these issues were out there in the public.
Tony, he's the Deputy Speaker. When he took up the position of Deputy Speaker, it's like saying, do you think the Vice Captain of the team would be interested in being the captain one day? You didn't have to be a genius to work out that if there was a vacancy, the Deputy Speaker might like to be the Speaker. OK,
let's look at the other side of the equation. Are we really expected to believe that it's just a happy coincidence then that Harry Jenkins decided to resign at exactly the same time that Peter Slipper came under this concerted pressure in his seat of Fisher for his own pre-selection?
Well, Harry Jenkins' statement speaks for itself. Harry Jenkins is a man of integrity. He was a very good speaker. He's someone who's been either Speaker or Deputy Speaker for some 15 years. And he chose to, today, make the announcement that he wanted to go back to the party room, back to the Labor family, as he put it, be able to participate in policy issues, become again the Labor member for Scullin. The job of Speaker is very onerous in this Parliament. It makes it difficult for someone to participate in party political politics. Harry Jenkins, after a period of time, has made that decision. Everyone in the Parliament, including the opposition, say they respect his integrity. They can't then question that integrity by questioning his motives.
Well, with respect, I can put this point to you. It does seem rather too neat, this whole equation. I mean, this is a man whose father was a Speaker of the House, whose main ambition evidently was to be Speaker of the House, and then suddenly at this incredibly fortuitous time for the government, he decides to pack it all in. Did no one speak to him about this at all?
Well, I certainly didn't speak to him. He made the decision. He went to see the Prime Minister this morning. He made the announcement to the Parliament. He conducted himself in an exemplary fashion, which is exactly the way that he has always conducted himself in public life.
OK, but I'll just go back to my question, though. You didn't speak to him. Can you absolutely guarantee that no one, from the Prime Minister on down through the ranks of the ministry and senior operatives of your party and the government, that nobody spoke to him offering up this opportunity to him?
Look, Tony, I take his statement absolutely at face value. I think anyone who knows Harry Jenkins would do exactly the same thing. It is perfectly understandable to me that someone, after being Speaker and Deputy Speaker for 15 years, would make a decision that they want to participate as a Labor Member of Parliament in government and take the decision that he did.
He's taking we're going over the same ground, actually, but he's taking a massive...
If you keep asking the same question,
OK, well, I'll ask a
answer,
different one.
Tony.
He's taking a massive pay cut, isn't he?
Well, he's not motivated by money. He's motivated by making a contribution to public life. And whilst there's some cynicism from the media, the fact is that I believe most people go into public life, regardless of what party they represent, for good public purpose, not for the money, given the other sacrifices that are made in terms of time away from family, etc.
Yes, but what the media understands, perhaps rather cynically, is that political deals are part of the game, and it does look from the outside like a political deal. And so my question is this: for example, if Harry Jenkins is promoted into the ministry at some time in the not too distant future to make up for that pay cut that he's just taken, would we be cynical at that time to regard that as part of a deal?
Well, Tony, now you're talking absolute hypotheticals. What we do know is, in spite of Mr Abbott's purity I saw on the 7:30 report, his party were hawking around the Parliament to all of the independents whether they would like to be the Speaker today. And they were certainly out there trying to find a candidate. And the fact is that this is a problem for Tony Abbott of his own making. After the election, there was an arrangement put in place, agreed and signed up to by both the Coalition and the Labor Party, that the Speaker and Deputy Speaker should be paired. Therefore, the issue of who the Speaker is and it discounting a vote from either government or opposition wouldn't count. Tony Abbott signed up to that. He then walked away from it in order to get a political advantage and cost the Labor Party a vote. It's turned out it now, after today, has cost himself a vote, but that's through his own actions.
OK.
And he should take responsibility for it.
Does Peter Slipper's ascension to the Speaker's chair give the government insurance against Craig Thompson taking a tumble over his ongoing issues with the police?
Well, all of those hypotheticals are exactly that, Tony. What's occurred over a period of time is that Tony Abbott has tried to talk up a 24-hour strategy of what will happen tomorrow. He's had no strategy for the medium or the long term. He has, at last year's Christmas party, around about this time to the press gallery, he said, next year you can all come for drinks at the lodge. That's the sort of arrogance that we've seen from Tony Abbott, an expectation that all he has to do is just say no to everything, change the coalition to the no-alition and engage in this negativity, and somehow it would give him what he sees as his birthright, a ticket to the lodge.
OK, all right. You've made that
Tony.
point. You've made this point a number of times about the no-alition. It's a good line, but let's not repeat it too often. The question was
I've only made it once tonight, Tony, to be fair.
No, I've seen you make it on a number of occasions already during the course of the afternoon and so on. But look, let's leave that aside for the moment. The question was whether this gives you insurance in case Craig Thompson takes a tumble, because he does have ongoing issues.
Well, these are all a nonsense, Tony, in terms of trying to talk up these issues. The fact is that this is a government, what we're focused on is getting our agenda through. We've been extraordinarily successful, Tony. 254 pieces of legislation,
okay, no, look,
including just this week.
I'm going to try and keep
including just this week.
We're running
the
out of
mining
time,
tax.
so I'm going to try and stick to the series of questions which I'm actually asking. The new Speaker, Peter Slipper, has his own ongoing issues. Have you dusted off the dirt file which the Labor Party was probably keeping to assure yourself that he can actually go the distance?
Well, he's been the Deputy Speaker. I think he's been a good Deputy Speaker. He has an awareness of the standing orders and the procedures before the House. He's someone who is interested in parliamentary processes. I think he'll be a very good Speaker.
Have you vetted him? That's my point. Have you vetted him against the issues which keep coming up, which the Liberal Party inevitably knows a great deal about?
Well, he's been a creature, of course, of the Liberal Party, the National Party and the LNP for a long period of time.
So have you vetted him against all these potential scandalous issues which may come up?
I'm the Minister for Infrastructure and Transport. That's my job.
Modern governments vet people who are taking sensitive positions, and I'm asking whether you vetted him.
Well, Tony, I'm the Minister for Infrastructure and Transport. I'm the Leader of the House. I've done my job.
Do you expect the Liberal Party to pull out a series of files on the new Speaker and try and use them against him? For example, one of his own coalition colleagues, Alex Somlay MP from the neighbouring electorate, has been calling for an investigation into Peter Slipper's travelling expenses in Canberra. He's got up a petition on that. Do you expect a backlash from the coalition along those lines?
With due respect, Tony, I can have no control over what the coalition do. That is up to them. But what I do know is that he has been a long-term member of the coalition. They endorsed him a number of times, so I would expect that if there was a problem with him, why did they endorse him just over a year ago?
Anthony Albanese, we thank you very much for joining us. Time, I think, for you to go to Prime Minister's drinks.
Indeed, which is at the Lodge, even though Tony Abbott predicted that he'd be there this year. He, of course, isn't, and today means he's further away than he was yesterday.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Tony.